Fear and caution are two different things. Be cautious, be conscious, but do not be fearful. Fear only paralyzes, while consciousness mobilizes. Be mobilized, not paralyzed. Niall Donald Walsh. So today I want to speak from the topic of caution and taking heed to warnings. Now, this isn't necessarily to scare anyone or to make you feel like you need to look over your shoulder every single day and to live your life in fear. But I feel like right now, more than ever before, we need to be cautious. We're in a new season. We're in a new calendar year. And God is doing a new thing for a lot of us. He's bringing in breakthrough that a lot of us have been waiting for a long time. But you cannot bring in the new when you still hold on to the old. The old can be old mindsets, old ways, old thinking habits, old habits in general, old people, old situations, old environments. We cannot hold on to the old and expect God to do the new. We need to lose in order to gain. We need to spend in order to earn. And so this painting that I'm making is something that I just thought of the minute I saw caution. And it's actually a series of paintings, which I'm going to put in the playlist Visions and Dreams. And it's just like really good lessons that we can take in life and apply to our lives. So let's talk about the 3 things that we are called to be cautious in. We are called to be cautious in our thoughts, our thinking patterns. God says, take every thought captive that goes against the perfect will of God. Something along those lines. And what does it really mean to take every thought captive? What does it really mean to take heed into what you're thinking? And why does God tell us to take every thought captive instead of to take every word that we speak captive? Why do we need to take our thoughts captive? Because overthinking is a thing, and overthinking is something that a lot of us do. It's actually probably the most common thing. Like, we all overthink, and overthinking comes from assumptions that are made when we don't have the full story. And so we're in our bodies 24/7. Nobody else can hear us except for God, but nobody else can hear what we're thinking in our heads. And therefore, if we spend enough time in the wrong places, in the wrong situations with the wrong people, our mind produces thoughts. And these thoughts can either be beneficial or detrimental to us and our well-being. And a lot of the thoughts that we have are negative thoughts about self, negative thoughts about people, negative thoughts about the season that we're in our environment. And the problem isn't the fact that you're having those thoughts, because we can't necessarily control what pops into our minds. Like, that's why we have the saying intrusive thoughts, because sometimes things pop into our mind and we're like, I don't even know why I'm thinking this. But it becomes a problem when we take those thoughts and we make them more than thoughts. We need to allow our thoughts to flow and just be thoughts. But when we take those thoughts and allow them to become more than thoughts, we're dwelling on those thoughts. And what we focus on grows. The more you focus on something, the more room it has to expand. And when we're focusing on thoughts of self-harm, when we're focusing on thoughts of, I want to kill myself, I hate this world, I hate my life, when we focus on thoughts such as that, we give room, we give opportunity for those things to manifest. And obviously God has the final say. But again, life and death is in the power of your tongue. And that's no joke. The amount of people that have said things. I remember I saw a TikTok once, and this girl was like, I know I'm going to die from a car crash. Most of my family members have died in a car crash. Most of my friends have died in a car crash. Literally almost everybody that I've known has died in a car crash. And I know that's how I'm going to die too. And 3 weeks later, she dies in a car crash. And people are like, well, she said she knew that was going to happen. No, she spoke it into existence. Because life and death are in the power of the tongue. So if she had said, I'm going to break this chain. I'm not going to die in a car crash. I'm not going to be the next person in my family to die this way. If she had spoke life into her life, if she had spoke life into the atmosphere, I don't think she would have died the way she died. Maybe her death date was, those 3 weeks after she said that, but I don't think she would have died in a car crash. Like, she definitely spoke that into existence. And so we need to be able to take every thought captive and understand that our thoughts aren't God's thoughts. Our ways aren't his ways. And so every day we should be praying and asking God to make our thoughts like his thoughts and to make our ways like his ways. And when we're not cautious enough and when we're not paying attention to every thought that comes in and out of our mind, we give room for that thought to expand. Even if we're not thinking about it in the moment, it's still there. The Bible says, resist the devil and he has to flee. And we're not telling those thoughts, go away. I don't want you here. We're allowing them to have home and residence in our minds. So we need to take every thought captive, whether you're Christian, whether you believe in God or not. This is a general message for everybody. We need to learn to filter our thoughts and to say, okay, this thought is beneficial for me to have right now, and this thought is going to destroy me. We need to have discernment to know the difference between the two. Next, I want to talk about environment. Now, again, environment doesn't necessarily have to be like physically your environment. It could be your mental environment. Like, how are you? How is your mental health? Environment can be the environment within your body. What are you feeding your body? How does your skin look? What is going, what are you doing to your body? Are you doing a disservice to your body? Are you giving your body away, right? In hopes that it will give you power and strength, but it only leaves you feeling weak. And so we need a change of environment. And that's what I've actually noticed, like talking to so many people, like everyone just like openly agrees, like we just need a change of environment. We just need a shift in our environment, because sometimes it's not the season that needs to change, it's the place that we're in that needs to change. Because if you're always in the same place, in the same position every single day, like that does something to you. Like even if you've stepped mentally, emotionally, spiritually in a new season, a season of new beginnings, a season of abundance, right? Even if you've stepped into that season and you've checked all those boxes, physically, if you're still in the place that you were when you had, your waiting season or your sorrowful season, like if you're still in that place, you can't help but feel those emotions. And I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven that when you stay in this, how people are like, whenever I go back to that one house or to my room in my parents' old house, I get trauma, right? Because that place, that environment is associated with a certain feeling. And when you step it back into that environment after being away from it for so long, after having change, after having a new thing, then it becomes a problem. Because even though you have a new thing, even though you have a good thing, you are placed in an environment that reminds you of where you used to be. And God says that all things that happened in the past are in the past, and look forward, a new thing has happened. And you know what I'm saying? I know that not all of us can exactly change our environment right at this second and all those things. Like I know we can't necessarily do that, but at the same time, like even if it's just your bedroom, like even if it's just moving your bed in a different position and moving your desk to the left and then moving your bed, facing this way, or just putting a poster on your wall on a different side of your wall, like it's little changes in your environment that can help you, switch into that new season, into that new place. But if we're constantly staying in the same environment, if we're constantly reminding ourselves of what we've been through in a negative way, like placing ourselves back in that headspace, it becomes bad. And that which we've been given as a blessing, we can't maintain it or take care of it properly, because we're not stepping into it with a new thought pattern. And the actual definition of caution is care taken to avoid danger or mistakes. Another definition is warning, and another definition is an amusing or surprising person, which I don't think that's what we're talking about, but we're specifically talking about care taken to avoid danger or mistakes. Now, we're all going to make mistakes, but we need to take care of our environment, take care of our headspace, take care of our bodies in order to avoid putting ourselves in a dangerous situation. And not dangerous doesn't necessarily mean like a place where you might get shot or a place where you might get killed. Like, it doesn't mean dangerous in that way. Dangerous in the terms that I'm speaking in, it refers to putting yourself in a situation that is going to be very hard to pull yourself out of, or putting yourself in a situation where you won't have enough strength to bounce back the way you did with your previous situations. And it's best to just avoid that now. We know we're wise enough to know that there's a time for everything, right? But we don't need to be continuously in the same situation. That's why we have different seasons, because every season requires a different version of yourself. And that's by Shinti Adeja. So environment is another big thing. And then lastly, I want to touch on people. I really was going to talk about habits, which habits is a big thing. 21 days, build a new habit. 21 days, get rid of an old one. But I want to talk on people. The people you're around affect everything. You have no clue. Like, I know I'm one of those people who say, no, well, I'm my own person. My friends can do bad things, but doesn't mean I have to do bad things with them, and da-da-da. And that might be the case, but we love to deny the fact that the people we hang around have a huge effect on the way we act, the things we say, the actions we take. And it's subconscious half the time. We don't necessarily notice how much of an impact they have on us, but you slowly start to talk like them. You slowly start to do actions that they do. For example, I made a friend in school a couple of years ago, and we never really talked like that, but then we had a bunch of classes together, so we started to hang out. And she would always say, can we go to the washroom so I can look at myself in the mirror? She would be like, how does my hair look? How does this look? How does that look? And she's always so self-conscious about how she looks. Now, me personally, I've actually never cared about how I looked like in school. Like, I'm not in school to show off or to look the best. Like, I'm just in school to do school. So I never necessarily bothered myself with looking good in school. But slowly I started bringing a mirror to school and checking my face. And there's nothing wrong with making sure that you look put together, but I've never done that. And then I started going to the washroom just to check my hair, and I noticed, I'm when did I even start doing this? One day I was like, when did I even start doing this? And I noticed, and I'm like, I hang out with this girl and this is all she does. She just cares so much about how she looks. And subconsciously, because she did it so much, because she convinced herself that there was something wrong with her, or that there's something off about her every single day, subconsciously, my mind seeing her do that started convincing itself that I had something on my face, or that my hair wasn't looking good and I had to go check it out. We don't notice, but we pick up on little things. And a lot of those things are bad things, If we're around a friend that always studies, then we pick up on their study habits. If we're around a friend who always talks about God, then we pick up on talking about God. If we're around a friend that always encourages people, then we pick up on encouraging people. And we don't notice it, but that's what we do. So you really need to check your environment. Check the people you're around. Who are you associating yourself with? What type of habits do those people have? I'm not telling you that you need to find the perfect person, because none of us are perfect. But what I'm saying is you need to surround yourself with like-minded people sometimes. I know people say opposites attract, but honestly, in this day and generation, it's best to associate yourself with people who have the same standards and morals and values, at least. You don't have to have the exact same hobbies and everything like that and interests, but you want to surround yourself with people who are looking towards the same goals as you are, because you can quite literally get caught up in the scheme of it all. And then those habits that you work so hard to build are slowly being decomposed and break down because of the people you're hanging around. I don't know what broke down and breakdown, I don't know. But it's being torn apart based off who you're hanging around. And so I just wanted to make this video today, say just be very cautious in life. Just be aware, be present, take those headphones out. You know what I mean? Stop being so involved in your own head and thinking everything's about you. Step out of your body for a second and be an observer of what's really going on, and just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You You would be surprised the type of answers you found when you ask questions. So just remember that in order for a new thing to happen, we need to release old things. And it's not going to be easy, but you know what I'm saying? Whatever God tells us to do, that's what I'm going to do. And we need to get to a place where we're fully able to surrender and understand that none of this even matters. None of this is really about us. And realize that the things you do, the people you're around, the things you see, the things you hear have a direct effect on you, whether you believe it or not.